Welcome to another episode of Ask Ross, a Q&A show where I try and answer all of your financial and lifestyle questions every single week. My name is Ross Marais and I'm the host. I'm a financial advisor and I'm on a mission to try and help younger Australians to make smarter decisions with their money. Kick things off, the first question for this episode comes from Sam on Instagram. Sam, thanks for taking the time out to write in on a question. Sam says, I have a friend that is in a lot of debt. He's recently asked me for more money, but I know if I give it to him, he's just going to blow it. I really want to help him, but I don't really know how to bring up the idea of him going to someone to get help. It's really awkward to talk about money with him. What should I do? Sam, this is definitely not a unique situation, and this is something that I've had a few people ask me, and unfortunately there's no quick answer, there's no quick solution to this problem. The way I see debt problems and money problems is much the same as people are talking about mental health problems at the moment. So unfortunately it's just one of those things that until the person realizes that it's a problem, much like a drug addiction, until they realize it's a problem, it's very difficult for them or for anyone to try and help them when they just don't see that there's an issue. So tread lightly around this one. Obviously, you mentioned it's awkward. Of course it is. No one wants their friends knowing that they're in debt. No one wants their friends or family knowing that they're bad with money. But when it's starting to affect your life financially as well, and friends asking you for money, and things really can get out of hand quickly, and friendships and family relationships can be ruined very, very quickly. So what I would suggest, if possible, if he's open to the idea at all, just try and bring the subject up with him very, very lightly. Potentially get a couple of friends together that are maybe concerned with him as well. Be careful not to ambush him and think that you're trying to make him feel bad, but just let him know that you're there for him, that maybe you're willing to chip in some money for him to go and get some help. So instead of giving him the money directly, say, look, we don't want to give you the money, but we'll pay for someone to help you, and maybe that's a way you can get around it there. The second question for this week came from a client that I saw last week actually, and we were going through their finances together, and they had a question about getting a pay rise. So this is the question that was asked. They said, how do I ask my boss for a pay rise, was the question basically. They said they've been in the role for over 12 months and they feel like they're getting underpaid. What should they do? How do they bring up the conversation? It's frightening, they're scared they might get fired or they might get told off or said no. And my answer to this question was, the worst that can happen in majority of circumstances, not all circumstances, is that they'll say no. That's the absolute worst that you can happen. But what I would do to prepare for asking for a pay rise is a few things you can take to put yourself in a better position. Is go onto a website like PayScale, I think it's payscale.com.au, and it'll let you know kind of where you sit based on your state or based on where you live in the country. And it'll let you know kind of where you're sitting, and you can get a gauge in terms of if you are actually getting underpaid, because obviously a lot of people think they're getting underpaid, a lot of people think they're overworked, but when you look at it comparatively to everyone else in that similar role or that similar region, you mightn't be too bad. By all means you might be getting underpaid, but I would check there first. The second thing I would do is, if you don't have a position description in your current position, is ask either your HR department or your boss for a position description. That way you can say, right, this is my position description, this is what I'm getting paid, let's call it $50,000 for. At the moment I'm doing all of those, plus I'm doing these extra 10 things on a weekly basis or on a regular basis. So my position has changed from the position that you hired me for. You hired me for this position, which was $50,000. I'm doing that, I'm doing it well, but I'm also doing these extra 10 items on a regular basis each week, whatever they are. I think that is grounds for me to review my salary. Either you take those items away from me and not take them off my to-do list, or you increase my salary. Obviously, increased salary equals the increased responsibility and more tasks. So obviously you're going to be working harder for that. So when you walk into a meeting, the first thing they're going to say is, why do you think you deserve a pay rise? So unless your boss is really nice and you're the best boss in the world, they're going to say yes straight away. But for the majority of bosses or people in that kind of position, they're going to say, why do you think you deserve a pay rise. They're obviously going to just say, well, let's wait till your 2-year review or 12-month review, whatever it is. But if you've armed yourself with the position description, say, this is what other people in my similar job are getting paid, that's above or below me. This is my position description when I started, and this is my current tasks that I'm doing now. There's a difference. I would like to have a chat about it. So the worst they can say is no, and if they do say no, make sure you set a time frame. Say, right, you've said no now, when can this get reviewed? Can we review this in 3 months' time? And have a chat about it then. Make sure you come out of that meeting with a set date and a set agenda in mind and say, right, what's the next steps? How do I justify this pay rise? What are you looking for? So good luck with that. The final question in today's episode comes from Jordan on Facebook. Jordan says, me and my partner are expecting our first baby. We're worried that we won't have enough money for when my partner takes time off work to look after the baby. What would you suggest we do to help manage our finances and our money during this time? Jordan, you're by no means the first person to ask this question. Obviously people our age are going through this type of life event at the moment, and it's something that I deal with on a daily basis. Someone getting pregnant, and these kind of concerns and questions come up all the time. So what I would suggest for you is or you and your partner, firstly head to the Centrelink website. So centrelink.gov or human services.gov.au, and firstly find out what you're entitled to. So depending on your financial circumstances, there's a range of different entitlements that you could be entitled to. So there's parenting payments, there's newborn baby allowances, and it's something that changes on a regular basis. So I know the government's recently changed a few different payments and what you're entitled to, but there's a few different calculators on there, there's lots of resources on there. So I'd jump on there firstly and find out what you're entitled to. The second thing I would do is that if your partner is planning on taking time off work, whether that's a long time or a short time, I'm not sure, but what I would do is start trying to live on just one income. So prepare yourself for what it's going to be like when your partner takes time off work. So bearing in mind that you might be entitled to some Centrelink entitlements depending on your income, but to prepare yourself, start acting as though she's off taking time off work now. So as soon as practically possible, try and live on only one income or a reduced income to prepare yourself for what life's going to be like, and just see how that's going. And if you're not managing at all and things are going to be just too tight and you're not going to be able to manage, then that's when you start looking at things that you can do to help either reduce your income, reduce your expenses, increase your income, maybe cut some unnecessary bills or expenses that you don't need, cut out some of those luxuries. That's just going to help you to obviously fund the newborn expenses or the new baby expenses that come along with it, as well as managing on that reduced income. So just a few little things, but definitely first of all jump onto the Human Resources or Centrelink website and find out what you're entitled to and run some calculations there, and depending on your income, and go from there. If you have a question that you need answered or you just can't find the answer for, comment below, like, subscribe, shoot me a message, DM me on Instagram, tweet me, however you need to get in contact with me. I'm across most social media platforms. If you have a question, write it in and I'll do my best to either answer you directly or put it on the show if I think it's going to be valuable for other people. Thanks for listening and watching another episode of Ask Ross. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow me on all social media channels, and of course, stay tuned for next week's episode.